This is my second review of the SICK sequence pad. It is an inflatable pad. So far, I have had 3 outdoor sessions with it, and overall, I'm more happy than after my first initial impression. So I will go through the good and the bad parts. And again, this is based on the 3 sessions so far, 3 outdoor sessions so far. I may discover more things as time goes by. So first I'll start with the good parts. The main thing is that it's very light. It fits here. In fact, it takes up to here, just that much space. So it's small and it's light. It fits in my backpack. It takes no space in the car. In fact, it's also very easy to carry by this buckle, so I end up just buckling it up either to my backpack or to my other foam pad. Yeah, I find that works for me. So it's very light, it takes no space. It does not get wet, so that's great. I was working on a boulder that was next to a river, and we used it as kind of the bottom layer so that my foam pad wouldn't get wet. And so far, I have not bottomed out in it, so that's good news. Although I also haven't used it as my main pad, I've only used it as my supplementary pad. Yes. And in my other review, I said that it's too bouncy, but I think, well, it's still quite bouncy, but I realized that I put a bit too much pressure last time because I was afraid of bottoming out. But in reality, it seems to be thick enough that, and the fabric doesn't stretch very much, so you don't have to inflate it fully. In fact, it should feel somewhat underinflated, and in that case, it doesn't bounce quite as much. It still bounces, but it bounces less. And I still don't bottom out. So that particular issue seems to be not really an issue. Okay, so that's the good things. The bad things, it does take some time to inflate and deflate. In my experience, it takes about 2-3 minutes to do either. It just takes time to unpack it, use the pump, pack it back, and it's not horrible. 2-3 minutes. I guess if I had 5 of them, then it would be kind of a pain, but yeah, I don't know. So I guess that's the reality of an inflatable pad. The pump itself is great, by the way. It does sound somewhat funny. So it squeaks, but yeah, it doesn't matter. It pumps well. So that's the first thing. That it takes some time, more time than foam pads. The second bad thing that I discovered is that there's no strap to shuffle it around. So with normal foam pads, you can, when you have them set up and you want to move them, you can just pull them by a strap. Here there's no strap. The only thing there is this little thing. This little thing. And yeah, that's not really a strap. So carrying it when it's inflated is difficult. Pulling it around is difficult. So that's the second unfortunate thing. And that is very easy to fix, of course. Just a small strap would be sufficient because it's very light. It doesn't need a big strap. Another thing that I didn't like so far is that the pump actually takes quite a bit of space. So here's the pump, right? Here's the pump. It takes about half of the space of this bag, actually. So if you only have one pad, then it feels weird that you put in your backpack, then you take this thing, which is approximately the size of half of a backpack, and then you also have to separately carry a pump, which is also half of this thing. So I think maybe the pump could be somewhat smaller, I don't know, or maybe I'm just being too picky. But the pump does take quite a bit of space. Well, much less than a foam pad, of course. And another thing I wanted to mention is that this bag is actually falling apart already. So you see that, yeah, this is falling apart kind of badly after just 3 sessions. And I didn't do anything crazy to it, obviously. So this bag could definitely be of higher quality. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to mention is that these stretchable bands are very useful for packing it to kind of keep it together. So in conclusion, I would say that this is not a replacement for a foam pad. I think, or at least in my opinion, I think you do want to have kind of a base, and then this inflatable pad can be like a good addition. So it could be like a starter pad, or it could be a pad that you put, on the wet ground, and then the foam pad on top of it. Or maybe if you're working on a problem that's not very high, you can use this. But yeah, I still don't feel super comfortable using it as my main pad, especially because it's also not very big, right? And its effective area is actually smaller than it looks, because again, the sides compress very easily. So in reality, the effective area is like here and there. Yeah, but again, as a supplementary pad that you can always fit in your car, it doesn't take any space to store at home. It takes very little space when you carry it. It's very light. I think it's actually quite good. And I changed my mind and I decided to actually keep it. Yeah. So there's that. This is my second review. I thought in addition to my main review, I would also show some videos of the outdoor sessions. So here I'm working on the gavel in Miller River in Washington. So here you can see the inflatable pad serving as kind of more of a supplementary pad. So it's still giving me that extra protection, but I definitely wouldn't put it where my big Metolius trifold is. But yeah, it worked well. I have stepped on it. I haven't taken a bad fall on it, but I have, just kind of in a controlled way stepped off on it. And I didn't have any issue here. So then here's another example. So this is Thunderdome in Leavenworth. And here, so I need to zoom in. So, okay, actually you cannot see it, but the inflatable pad is actually right under this rock where there is a shadow. It's further than the trifold that you see on top. And the point here is that it's propping up this Mad Rock trifold. So here it's used mostly as kind of a pad to just kind of make the main padding more flat. So and also it's a starting pad. So when I start, I step on it. But again, I'm not using it as my kind of main protection pad.